what is the next, when you say next generation, you're talking about the OSX, or is there something beyond that?
The OSX, the Assure, which I think you referenced as 1.2, that would be what's coming out of certification, addresses those concerns.
If you want to show us or demonstrate to us some of the equipment, that's fine. I'm sure there'll be some more questions too.
Yes, we would like to do that. We've got several people prepared to do that. I'd like to start.
I'm sorry, just maybe before
Sure.
we do that, just to follow up the question.
Thank you.
You've got the Assure package,
Yes.
and then what's the next piece you're working on after that? When's that new technology you anticipate coming out?
I don't know the answer to that question. I know that there are concept things in research and development, but I don't have a picture of what those are to present to you. They're certainly not in the near future.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jessica, I apologize if you're not done with your presentation. Please proceed. I thought you might.
No, I was kind of waiting to see if there were any further questions that I could answer, but we are prepared to provide a demo on any or all of the equipment that you'd like to see. And unless you'd like to jump to something else first, I'd like to start with our current optical scan unit that you're already familiar with.
Why don't we take up? You can read that.
The basics behind precinct count voting is that the voter comes into the precinct, they're issued a ballot. They're directed to take the ballot. They're also offered a secrecy slate, which gives them the option to, after they mark their ballot, to put it into a private device so that nobody can see it on their way from the privacy booth to the voting machine to deposit their ballot. It is basically counting ballots at the precinct all day long, so that as voters process the ballot, it continues to count. The ballot box has a capacity of up to 2,400 plus ballots in a single ballot box. It does, during the day, separate ballots into a separate bin for all write-ins that are accumulated throughout the day, because it's not electronic. Obviously, it doesn't give you any visual image of the write-ins, so write-ins have to be extracted by the poll worker and accounted for separately when they are brought back into the central office for perusal. So once I heard earlier questions about what's the difference between your system and other systems, and what gives you the market advantage. Obviously, we feel that we have a process that when the ballot's submitted into the system, if there is an error that you have programmed the system to reject, in other words, an overvote, it will do that, and it will simply, very quickly, send the ballot back to the voter. Does not give the voter a chance to walk away from the machine, does not roll it up like a fax machine into the central portion and leave it sit there disappearing from sight for the individual. It will give the individual then on the LCD panel, it gives them an accounting of what that error was. In other words, 99.9% of the jurisdictions that we work in throughout the year, overvoted race, Ohio, president. Because it always because it only has so much capacity to roll in this particular version.
This is it?
This is their LCD panel. Okay, so this is what notifies them of the error that occurred.
So could you reprogram that to say press instead of incident?
You could, and you can also program it in gems as to the length of time the message appears on the screen before it disappears.
Not to jump to
Okay.
the newer technology, is the LCD panel larger, or is there some other?
When I
Because I
get
can see a voter not paying any attention to that.
when I get to the OSX, I will show you that the size of the screen increases
Okay,
many-fold. I will also point out when I get to that machine that it still does not display all the issues on a single ballot. It will display up to 3 issues on the ballot. And there's some logical reasons for that I'll go into when I go into the market advantage on that. One of the situations that I heard was that if the ballot's rolled up into the machine and resides there until the issue is resolved, then the privacy of that voter is protected throughout that entire process. Our stipulation is that by kicking the ballot back to them immediately, they have an immediate warning that something's up, something that didn't take their ballot. There's no way that they can get away. What happens in other systems where it uses the fax type technology for rolling it up and disappearing is that even with a visible beep or an audible beep or a visible signal, the voter walks away. There's a ballot in the machine. The poll worker now has to decide what to do with that ballot in the machine. We think that that's the reason that the Florida report and the Minnesota report clearly showed that the AccuVote 2000 is the most accurate precinct count machine in the market at this point in time. So that's a major difference. As I say, if you have an individual instance where something changes, it immediately brings it back to you. It does require poll worker intervention at that point in time. In other words, the poll worker then, you know, if it's an overvoted race, what do they have to do? They have to go back, and if they want to change that, they have to get a new ballot. Of course, that's where your poll worker training comes in any system where you have your spoiled ballots that you have to account for at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you still have to account for all 1,000 ballots that were issued or all 2,000 ballots that were issued at the beginning of the morning.
Okay, so you have poll worker intervention, and then what happens?
If you were to in other words, if I came in, Sandy, and I said, I don't care if I overvoted the race, I've got a tea time in 20 minutes and I'm not going to miss it,
Right.
have it take my ballot.
Right.
Then the poll worker opens the front with their key, pushing both ballots, resubmitting the ballot. It will override the mistake or the overvoted race, count all other races as any system should, and accept the ballot. But the normal procedure would be that, yes, I want my vote to count, therefore I'm going to get a new ballot. Now, any looks at dismay, all systems have to do that. In other words, there's no system that says, oh, you overvoted? Well, let's decide which one you want. Tell me which one you want. Nobody's going to do that, obviously. So you always have to have poll worker intervention because they have to request a new ballot in order to vote. Okay?
Reno, would that require both a D and an R? Reno?
Pardon?
Can you come here for a second? Can you explain the overvote issue? Somebody wants to override it, you have to unlock this and press these two buttons. Would that require both a D and an R, or at least two people
Yes.
out of the same party?
Yes.
That would be any technology that we've seen today.
Well, but some of them, it's voter self-help, you know? Somebody presses, a voter presses the button. You would need two poll workers to do that.
On the OSX, you have the option of buying a unit with a cover that will either expose or not expose the yes button. And if you choose the cover without the yes button, by giving directions to the voter can do that, make that an issue on themselves. New York law, for instance, requires that. Ohio law does not require that. Okay? So questions on the OS 2000? As I say, all day long then, it's tabulating ballots. At the end of the day, you have your choice of bringing the unit back and uploading results from the unit, which is what we're going to recommend, or extracting the memory card.
Is
and
that
bringing the
the
memory
box
card
that goes in, Bob, there? I mean, is that a ballot box? Where do the ballots go once they're
So
stamped?
this is the ballot box that it's sitting in. Okay? This is the ballot box. It has two bins in it where the ballots fall flat. One bin it'll divert write-ins. When it sees any write-in, it'll divert them to the left side. All of the ballots it takes on the right side. You still have your ballot accounting at the end of the night where you will extract the ballots from the ballot box, put them in your carrying cases, have them transported back to Election Central, because as we all know, the beauty of and the reason that Adele and many people love the paper system is that you have your actual paper ballot at the end of the day.
Is there a limit on the number of these that we can use at one time, or, you know, is there a capacity issue, or how many of these are you recommending?
No, as your RFP called for, our normal procedure is that even if you have a multi-precinct voting location where you have 2 or 3 or 4 precincts, it will be programmed so that it will accept ballots from each of those precincts up to 12 precincts. Okay, The only capacitance issue you would have is if that volume is so great that it filled up the ballot box, you would have to have a Board of Elections process for either emptying the ballot box or bringing in a second ballot box and just take the unit out, put it in, plug it in, and it just keeps going.
I must be thinking of a tabulation. I was referring to, this is not doing any tabulating, and this is just.
It tabulates and puts in, and
Oh, okay.
the results are on a memory card,
Okay.
right, in the unit. And so you extract that memory card at the end of the night. That has all the totals on it.
And is there any recommendation for when we upload the memory cards in terms of how many we can, or how many how many units we can use? Or?
San Diego uses 10 units, and they have about 1,600 scanners out. So they're uploading about 1,600 memory cards using 10 of those stations hooked into the GEM server. The other option would be to never remove the memory card from the unit, have the poll worker bring the unit back and plug the unit itself to the GEM server.
Okay, I think that's what you were commenting.
Yeah, it's really depends on how you want to administer it.
Yeah, and remember, as Jessica indicated earlier in the presentation, you're dealing with a much smaller number of memory cards than you were with your TSX system. Your 6,000 versus 1,500 if you used all 1,500 units, which I don't think you'll be doing.
Okay.
Okay? Other questions? Okay. You want me to go to the OSX?
Yes.
The OSX makes use of a redesigned ballot box, a larger LCD panel, which will reflect up to 3 races that have either been voted or undervoted. Keep in mind, you set your parameters. When you program the election in GEMS, you set your parameters as to what you want to notify the voter of. In 99.9%, as I said earlier, people will not have it reject undervotes. Okay? It's just because undervoting is it's almost an art form in some states, or at least in Pennsylvania they say it is. Okay? So, but it will nonetheless, if you want to reject undervotes, it will tell you, and the voter then can override. You have the option of buying the cover to either expose or unexpose the yes button to either override by the voter or have the precinct worker intervene. We have had a long history of success with poll worker intervention because it simply increases the accuracy of your election. It's been proven to do that. When we say digital technology, in the old system it was visible light, where the light was actually shining down. If the oval was full, it would read it in that nanosecond in which it passed through. All of that was driven by the timing marks that the printer put on the ballot. One of the beauties of digital technology is it gives you some leeway. Your printer will bless you for that because the exactness of the timing marks are not nearly as critical because it's taken an image of the ballot rather than having to having to read exactly through that oval at that particular time that it passes through the system. So there's a real advantage to that. Our particular system in our digital technology has taken a digital image of each ballot that passes through, and then it's storing the totals digitally on a memory card, much like the OS 2000 did. All the same functionality is there. The ballot box has been engineered to quite frankly, on occasion, a ballot would go into our old box, and because there might be a static buildup, it might land on edge and remain there and take up some of the ballot capacity. This is designed so the ballots all flutter down and land absolutely flat. It has built-in static control in it.
Two most important enhancements of this equipment over the old equipment.
The two most important enhancements, I would say, are definitely that it is to us, you're going to have much greater partnership with your printer because of the ability and the unnecessity of having the timing marks be so exact to be sure that oval is read.
Reduces your printing production cost.
Right. It should.
Right. Should.
And I would say that the digital technology has allowed us to, in our Assure 1.2 software package, address the issues that the Everest report and the California report and others have had with software credibility and those types of issues.
Still
So,
kicks out the overvote.
still kicks out the overvote just
Can we
like
see
the other
that
one
so we
did.
can see the panel reading?
But also you need to have two people. I mean, it's got to be unlocked and someone's got to manually.
Unless you have this cover
Overvoted
changed.
races detected, Ohio.
Oh, you got button that lets the voter do it.
Right.
It's full color too. And as I say, you determine how long you want that image to stay up there by
So-
when you program the election.
Okay, so
Using the gem software.
Bob, you're saying you could take this off and there's a button?
No, we have a different design that exposes the yes button so that you can overrun, you can give the voter instructions to override that as the other system rather than have the voter.
Is that
That's
more-
strictly up to the.
Is that more
up to the jurisdiction.
expensive?
No, it's a,
I mean, there isn't an added cost if you want to
No,
do
this,
that.
this actually, we
It just
we
snaps
designed
off.
it to pop off from the front. So we've got an alternate one that has this area exposed. So I pop that in place and then the voter has access to a button to allow them to override overvotes.
Can we just see what that looks like again?
sorry.
The overvote scan?
But we could lock that down if we didn't want there to be anybody messing around.
Correct,
with that.
yeah,
So
so
we could
it-
secure that if we
Now,
Yes.
if there was more than one.
So that gives you the choice of how you want to run things.
Here and one here.
The other nice thing is you can start it one way, and if you decide I'd rather the cover be different, that's all it is to change it. So it's really designed to allow you to
Okay, so
decide.
now what if, you said it was up to 3, what if?
Well, it's up to, we say 3 because we don't want to mislead you. It could take 4 if the number of characters is correct to allow for that. But 3 is, you would not have more characters and not allow for 3.
Okay, what if somebody somehow overvoted 5? How would this
Well,
panel do?
the assumption is that once you've made a no-no, you go back and you get new instructions as to how to mark your ballot. Now, if you go back and remark your ballot and remark another bunch of overvoted races, obviously when you put it through, it's going to give you another set of messages. And you're going to be on your 3rd. And
You're not allowed to be on your 3rd.
somewhere in that your state statute, that 3 times and you're out comes into play, and you tell the voter that I'm sorry, we've got a problem here. Okay?
Does this technology also have, and we've heard that it doesn't allow for ballots to be scanned more than one time. Do we have that capacity or some
Right.
marker or some other way to
In
avoid any?
the old system, the throat of the reader is why we require 90-pound paper to be used. In the new system, it's a function of the software that detects more than one ballot.
So how would it kick back and we would know that it's been scanned already, or how will we notify them that we don't have duplicate ballots?
Well,
It would be in the
it
box.
would be in the secured box when it's scanned. That's
Okay,
that's
so
what
once
we're
it-
relying on.
okay.
It's in the secured box, and those obviously have locks. Each lock can be sealed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why this cover is here. You can seal these for detection purposes.
There's a
Okay, I think we're closing.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left if you want to go to your
Yeah.
Okay.